video is going to be a review of the new Tartelette palette. So I've had this palette for about 3 weeks, maybe a month. So I figured I've had enough playtime with it that I can do a review on it. So I've written out my key topics that I want to focus on, because when I just sit here and just talk, I tend to forget what I want to say. Like in my haul, I forgot to talk about my new camera, and I wanted to add that in there. So first I'm going to talk about the packaging. So the box that comes in, this is the box that comes in. It looks the same as the actual palette. I know, yeah. And so it has a light purple to dark purple gradient with gold lettering across that says Tartelette. See that? The back, no. It says there's 12 eyeshadows, has all the ingredients in it. It says it's without parabens, mineral oil, phthalates, triclosans, sodium lauryl sulfate, gluten, and is dermatology tested. Oh, and while we're on the train, and while we're on the topic of the ingredients, all of the shadows have talc in them as the first ingredient. So if, you know, some people don't really appreciate that in their eyeshadows. If you don't, you know, that's something that you should know. Okay. So the back of the palette is mirrored, and it, as you can see, it gets a lot of fingerprints. Sorry. And when you open it, the palette stays open on its own. Something a little more than, or more, a little less than 45 degrees. A little more. I don't know math. So when you're doing your makeup, you don't have to hold it up. You can just do what you need to do. So inside the palette, first you see there's a big mirror. Sorry. It's a big mirror that takes up the entire lid, and it's a really good mirror. You can really see a lot, like a lot. And the bottom of the mirror says Tartelette again. Then you have your 12 eyeshadows. And all of the eyeshadows have their name written below them. The palette has clasp, so when you close it, you know, it's more likely to stay closed in your luggage if you're traveling than a magnetic closure that's on a palette, like say the chocolate bar palette from Too Faced. The palette, it has a nice weight. It's not too light where you think it's cheap, but it's not too heavy where you would feel that it would make your luggage heavier. And all this is plastic. So now about the actual eyeshadows. The eyeshadows, there's 3 rows of eyeshadows, and there's warm neutral browns. This is a purplish, a little pink here, and these are cool toned browns. And the rows go from lightest to darkest. So each row is like it's paired where you can do your own eye look. And I've used these shadows in a couple of my latest tutorials. I've used these 2 rows and the black, excluding this row because I'm not really into cool tones. But I am wearing this entire row on my eyelid today. And I have I think caramel from the Too Faced chocolate bar in my crease as my transition color to warm it up a bit. So, okay, now we're going to talk about the individual shadows. So the first row, I'm going to swatch them. You're going to see closer swatches inserted, because whenever I try to show you anything, my camera doesn't have autofocus, sadly. And there's a big foundation swatch on my arm. It's wonderful. Okay. So this is the first 4. And there's the train. So this is Free Spirit, Force of Nature, Dreamer, and Multitasker. So these are very mid-tone browns, as you will hear in a lot of other reviews on this palette. This color could work as that orangey transition shade that you get in the Too Faced palette, like the caramel color, for lighter skin tones. On my skin tone, not so much. I'll probably just use it as a lid color. And this could be like a highlight color, and this can be a crease color, this can be an outer V color, or all of a lid color if you want to do a really dark brown smoky eye. But immediately when you see that from the warmer browns, it doesn't have that transition orange shade that a lot of people like to use. Okay, so the next row I'm going to start using my next hand after this. Yep. You see that? Alright. So, this is Caregiver, Natural Beauty, see that? Best Friend, and Bombshell. And the thing about this row is that the shade Bombshell is so dark that it looks almost black. So it's very pigmented. So you have to be careful about it when you're using it. I use this color especially in my Hateful Webby inspired makeup tutorial. There was a lot of this color and a lot of blending involved with it. And the last row, I'm finally going to use my other hand. I'm just going to put this right here. Yeah, not the best swatch. But anyway, so the first one is Super Mom. The second one is Wanderer. The third one is Power Play, which is that grayish color. The last and then the black is Fashionista. And the second shade, Wanderer, pretty much blends into my skin tone, so I can use that to blend out colors if I wanted to. Right now I have that color on my lid. And I have the next shade, Power Play, in my crease. Fashionista, the black, on my outer V. And this one is highlighting my brow bone. These shadows, Fashionista is very pigmented. I swatched it. You see when I'm talking about the other shades, it's leaving marks on my hand. There's still a lot of it left on my finger. Same thing could be said with Bombshell. There's still a lot of that left on my finger as well. The darker shades are very pigmented. All of these shadows are very smooth and creamy. So, this palette is not the cheapest palette. It was $44. But I used my $20 off. Is it $20 or 20%? I think it was 20% off I got from Sephora for being a VIB. So overall, I like this palette. You know, if you don't have that many mattes, it's a good palette to get. And I didn't have that many mattes, but I will be with the way that I'm buying eyeshadows. All of them show up in my complexion, so if you have a complexion near mine, and maybe even darker, it should show up. The lighter shadows don't come off ashy at all. And I tend to use this palette as to supplement my other palettes, like my Naked 1 and my Naked 3, which don't have that many matte eyeshadows. So this can be a very good palette for that, or you can use it alone if you're just not into shimmers and you just love matte eyeshadows. This is a good palette for that. I, of course, you know, like I said, I tend to use the top rows more, the top two. So the only drawback for me is that these have talc, but I mean, that's just more of the quality of the shadows. And the train is still there. It's two of them going by at the same time. Okay, as I was saying, the only drawback for me is that these shadows have talc in them. which doesn't really bother me as much as it does some people. The quality is still good, so it doesn't feel as chalky or as cheap as a lot of shadows that do have talc in them normally do. And of course, I can't forget to talk about the little pamphlet that you get. Mine got a little smush when I kept putting the palette back in the box. But yeah, you get 2 types of looks, and that can be helpful if you kind of like need some inspiration for a look to do. So overall, I like the palette, like I said. If you don't mind spending $44, I mean, it's not as expensive, say, as an Urban Decay eyeshadow palette, which, while you usually get more, you know, still expensive. I'm not going to be the person that says, oh, but for $44 each shadow is this, because you cannot buy each shadow. You cannot buy each shadow separately, and that kind of like doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if I can't buy it separately, what's the point of telling me the price of it separately? It doesn't, I don't know, I don't get it. But anyway, that's it for my review. If you like it, please leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have any questions. Are you gonna pick up this palette? Subscribe, and I'll see you in my later video. Bye.